The burgeoning downtown Los Angeles Arts District a visual identity. The Arts District encompasses 60 blocks in downtown Los Angeles, roughly bounded by 7th Place, Alameda, the 101 Freeway, and the Los Angeles River. Councilmember Jose Huizar believes the recognition has been long overdue.
It's been around for some time, but people often ask, where is it?
40 of these colorful medallions adorn light poles throughout the district, providing a block-by-block trail for visitors to this vibrant arts community.
Our artist that has made this possible, Valerie Mitchell, will allow us to now give some definition to the Arts District about what exactly is the Arts District. It's a very creative and innovative area.
Medallion artist Valerie Mitchell is a 25-year resident of the Arts District.
The project is based on the 4th Street Bridge and history of the neighborhood.
The medallions pay homage to the area, reflecting how the region was viewed through an opening of the 1930s-era 4th Street Bridge when Los Angeles was full of groves and vineyards. The other design includes a large letter A in reference to the fire department placards put onto buildings with an artist in residence in the 1980s.
I felt like using that symbol was appropriate because to some extent it was like early signage for our neighborhood.
Jay Bo, a street artist from Germany, is visiting Los Angeles to do an art show.
I think it's good to have a district where it's possible for artists to work and then to have like some kind of connection between each other.
And with the medallions, this creative area has its own distinction, offering further inspiration for local artists. From the Arts District, I'm Cindy San Luis for LA This Week.
The project was created by the Arts District Business Improvement District and what was the LA Community Redevelopment Agency and has taken about a year to complete. And over in Hollywood, a neighborhood transformation is also taking place as a blighted alleyway now looks more like a Parisian street lined with cafes. Thanks to business owners and several city agencies, the East Cahuenga Alley corridor, which has been christened Ica Alley, is ready for its close-up. Anna Marcos takes us to the grand opening.
This pedestrian promenade just might help pave the way for the Hollywood of the future. New landscaping, paving, lighting, and drainage have transformed the formerly blighted alley into the newly named Ica Alley, a new brand of Tinseltown gem. Margaritas, anyone?
It allows for businesses along Cahuenga to expand, having tables outdoors where they would not be able to otherwise.
We've transformed some seedy back doors to quaint entrances, as you can see behind me.
This alleyway was full of crime, grime, homeless individuals, dumpsters, graffiti. Now you look at it, it's the opposite. It's a place that's clean, a place that families and individuals can come for dinner, for a drink.
The $790,000 project was the brainchild of local business owners, the CRA-LA, and the city. And it's not only beautiful, but a green alley as well.
When it used to rain here, I'm sure the business owners will vouch for this, it didn't always drain very well. That's saying it very, very mildly. And what we have in this alley is it's pavers, but in the center section of it is permeable pavers. And what this does now is not just have the water removed from this area, but it actually is treating it as it goes through the soil.
There are 26 of these alleys in Hollywood. City leaders and business owners hope that this becomes the prototype for what happens to other alleyways in the area.
We're in discussions with groups to do a really kind of unique, interesting new concept called a pop-up kind of storefronts, having pop-up boutiques within the restaurants here.
And in some cases, they can do this themselves. The property owners, for instance, that have a whole stretch of an alleyway have come and seen this thing, hey, we should do something similar.
From filthy to healthy, this small alleyway shows what a little cleanup can do to turn Hollywood into a more thriving, vibrant, and people-friendly neighborhood. I'm Anna Marcos for LA This Week.
The East Cahuenga Alley, or Ica Alley, is located just south of Hollywood Boulevard and east of Cahuenga Boulevard with its entrance off Selmar Avenue. Little Tokyo, meanwhile, is already an established destination. Its rich history has always been a draw for locals and tourists. And as Cindy San Luis reports, Little Tokyo residents and businesses are celebrating that history by honoring the past.
Downtown LA's Little Tokyo is a major historic, cultural, and civic center for Japanese Americans living in Southern California, with its roots dating back to the 1880s. LA's Little Tokyo is only one of 3 remaining Japan towns in the state, alongside San Francisco and San Jose. A recent dedication ceremony unveiled new additions to Little Tokyo.
So it's really, really tremendous and significant that this enclave has been noted and recorded and preserved.
A 3-sided obelisk serves as the new Japantown marker. It depicts important phases of Little Tokyo. Immigration of the Japanese to the area 125 years ago, the Japanese internment during World War II, and the reestablishment of the community following the war.
And we take pride in preserving our culture and heritage, and this is a perfect example of what we have been trying to do.
The newly dedicated Toriuma Plaza is adjacent to the original home of the Union Church, which opened in Little Tokyo in the early 1900s.
We are dedicating this plaza in memory of Reverend Howard Noboru Toriumi, who was a highly regarded minister of the Union Church in Little Tokyo and was instrumental in the establishment of several significant community projects.
We are proud that there's a piece in Little Tokyo that is just to the north of our current church that represents all of the hard work of Reverend Howard Toriumi and so many others to not only keep but then to extend and continue the cultural heritage of Little Tokyo.
And we're quite honored, and my dad would be quite humbled by it.
3, 2, 1.
The Aiso Street parking garage was designed and constructed as a new 300-space, multi-level, subterranean parking garage to serve the Little Tokyo shopping district, as well as to provide parking for visitors to the various city facilities and the Federal and Caltrans buildings. With its new businesses and new visitors, Little Tokyo continues to evolve, adding to a rich 125-year history with many more years to come. I'm Cindy San Luis for LA This Week.
For more information on Little Tokyo, visit the Little Tokyo Community Council website at www.littletokyola.org. Once a year, LAX opens its doors to area students for Job Shadow Day. It's an opportunity for young people to go behind the scenes to learn about careers in aviation. Anita Bennett has the story.
There's a lot more going on at LAX than just departures and arrivals. It's Job Shadow Day for students from 3 area schools.
I learned about the airports and that this is the third busiest airport in the United States of America.
They spent several hours shadowing airport workers, including motorcycle officers.
The goal of this program is to introduce students from the surrounding community to the jobs and career opportunities that are available here at the airport.
Next up, fire crews who explain what it takes to become an airport firefighter. Then it was time to learn about some of the airport's less visible jobs, like information technology. But the day would not be complete without a chance to simulate piloting a plane.
To go in the air, you pull back.
The students also got a lesson on what it takes to keep travelers safe, including an up-close demonstration from a canine unit. Beatty the dog and his handler got help from a 7th grader who suited up in police gear to show how canine cops sniff out trouble.
And he finds what he's looking for, and he sits down, give a big round of applause.
The dog was really calm when it was around its toy, but when he was serious, he was serious. He was working around sniffing for anything that might have been drug-related.
This is one lesson the students admit they won't soon forget. At LAX, I'm Anita Bennett for LA This Week.
LAX has been hosting its annual Job Shadow Day for more than 10 years. But it's not just students who are learning about job opportunities, it's adults as well. The mayor recently partnered with a famous fashionista to help female entrepreneurs succeed. Gil Reyes has more.
I was like, genius! We can't reveal the innovative new ideas these women have up their sleeves. Someone might steal them. Instead, this story's about turning those concepts into cash.
Is it sellable? Is it scalable?
can you have people under you and you basically not do anything? You know what I mean? Like eventually.
This mentoring workshop given to up-and-coming female business owners, hosted by famous fashion designer and philanthropist Tory Burch.
Where they can stay in touch and really make connections and learn about what each other are going through.
Burch, whose clothing line is known the world over, has a soft spot for new business owners, particularly single mothers. Burch says they're the most likely to start their own business during this economic crisis, yet they're also among the first to be denied loans from banks. That's why she launched the Tory Burch Foundation in 2009. It's provided loans of up to $50,000 for female clients.
We're so thrilled to work with women. They're amazing as far as leaders in business, and I think that they are the key to getting our country back on track.
Mayor Antonio Villaraigosa says the fastest growing businesses in Los Angeles are owned by Latinas. Part of the reason why he signed into effect LA's business inclusion program last year. The program reserves about 1/4 of all city contracted projects for the underdog, or small, locally owned businesses. One of the goals is to even the playing field for minorities and women in the business world. Gil Reyes for LA This Week.
For information on future Tory Burch business workshops and how to acquire loans, visit her website at torybirchfoundation.org. A dark period in history is remembered involving the unjust deportation of Mexican Americans, a sting operation against those who illegally use disabled parking placards, and city employees go green. These stories in City Beat. The Los Angeles City Council recently passed a resolution remembering the plight of some 2 million Mexican Americans forcibly removed from the U.S. during the Great Depression. La Plaza de Cultura y Artes has dedicated a plaque at its campus downtown commemorating this dark time in history. Retired Congressman Esteban Torres was only 3 years old when his father was unjustly deported.
I found out later through my mother that the Bureau of Immigration had raided the mine, rounded up all the Mexicans without notice, put them on buses, and shipped them back to Mexico. And I never saw my father again.
The resolution, introduced by Councilmember Richard Alarcon, recognizes the Mexican American Legal Defense Fund's efforts to pursue legal action on behalf of those individuals and families. The mayor is asking all city employees to take part in the Green Angel Challenge, which aims to cut down on the city's energy and water consumption. Council members Eric Garcetti and Jose Huizar urged city employees to lead by example.
And we shouldn't be asking anything of the public that we shouldn't do ourselves as a great city. In fact, we should aim to do even more, and that's what I like about this campaign. It is recognizing that we, as a city organization, have a responsibility to do more and be the rule on conserving energy and not the exception.
Garcetti is urging city workers to report leaky faucets and to turn off electronic equipment at the end of the day. Councilmember Dennis Zine recently participated in a sting operation conducted by the LA Department of Transportation and the LAPD, targeting individuals who are fraudulently using disabled placards to park for free in metered spots. In the early morning hours, this team took to the streets and nabbed several placard abusers who now face some hefty fines. Zine says this problem, which is especially concentrated in the downtown area, hurts local businesses whose customers can't find parking and hurts the city, which suffers from lost revenue. Councilman Zine plans to introduce legislation asking the city to crack down on these types of parking abuses. Ansel Adams was best known for his iconic photos of Yosemite National Park, but for 1 week, the famous photographer focused his camera on the city of Los Angeles. Anita Bennett takes us to a new exhibit featuring these rarely seen photos.
These rare pictures show the city when gas cost just 10 cents a gallon and life was a lot simpler. They were taken in 1940 and are now being shown off in a new exhibit called Ansel Adams, Los Angeles.
There's a lot of famous locations here. Some of these places still exist. A lot of them don't, like the Derby, for example.
The building's still there, but it's no longer the Derby restaurant.
The iconic photographer snapped hundreds of photos while on assignment in L.A. for Fortune magazine. Before he died, Adams donated the negatives to the Los Angeles Public Library, which teamed up with downtown's Darkroom Gallery to put together this exhibit. The pictures include everything from City Hall to traffic that would be considered minor by today's standards.
The quality of these black and whites are just mind-blowing. They're incredible. Some work that I've never seen before of Ansel Adams, including what looks like surrealistic stuff where he's got one shot at a bowling alley where it's like a slow shutter speed where somebody's bowling.
The exhibit is free and will be open to the public until March 17th. I'm Anita Bennett for LA This Week.
The limited edition pictures will eventually be sold off with prices starting at $2,500 each. A portion of the proceeds will go to the Los Angeles Public Library system. In this week's list of things to do, a 340-ton boulder makes its way to a local museum. How you can catch a glimpse, reptiles at the LA Zoo, and learning how to fold origami. By now, you've likely heard about the transport of a 340-ton megalith from a quarry in Riverside that's making its way to the Los Angeles County Museum of Art, or LACMA, to star in Michael Heiser's Levitated Mass exhibit. The 21 feet tall boulder began making its way from the quarry on February 28th and is expected to arrive at LACMA on Saturday, March 10th. To catch a glimpse of the moving rock being transported by Hanjing Shipping, go to lacma.wordpress.com to track its route and where it will be parked along the journey for public viewing. LACMA is located at 5905 Wilshire Boulevard. For museum information, go to lacma.org. If you've ever been fascinated by the Japanese art of paper folding or origami, now's your chance to try your hand at it at the Target Free Family Saturday event, Folding Paper, on March 10th from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the Japanese American National Museum. The event is being held in tandem with the museum's new exhibit, Folding Paper. Sponsored by Target, these special Saturdays are filled with fun activities, giving families unique ways to learn, play, and grow together. You can even help the museum make the longest paper chain ever made as visitors contribute paper links throughout the day. The museum is located at 100 North Central Avenue in Little Tokyo. Go to janm.org for more information. And the LA Zoo's reptile exhibit will open to the public starting on Thursday, March 8th at 10 a.m. The exhibit, called The Lair, which stands for Living Amphibians, Invertebrates, and Reptiles, will house over 60 species from around the globe, as well as habitats for various unique and endangered amphibian, invertebrate, and reptilian species. Highlights include the world's largest amphibian, the Chinese giant salamander, which will inhabit a mountainside stream with underwater viewing for visitors, and a dazzling array of snakes, including the green mamba, a fast, slender snake from Africa. The zoo is located at 5333 Zoo Drive. Go to lazoo.org for admission prices and other information. And remember, you can find this information on our Facebook page. And that's a look at some upcoming things to do. If you like sandwiches, then hopefully you didn't miss Canoga Park's recent centennial celebration, where one big sandwich stole the show. Leading the charge was Councilman Dennis Zine, who proudly joined the owners of Canoga Park's Cavaretta's Italian Deli and volunteers in building a 100-foot Italian sandwich. The occasion? To commemorate Canoga Park's 100th birthday.
Canoga Park has been very good to me. I've been working at Canoga Park for the last 31 years, and it's afforded me to have and support a wonderful family. And so for that, Canoga Park deserves a celebration. So happy birthday, Canoga Park, at 100 years.
The event was held at Cavaretta's Italian Deli, which has been in Canoga Park since 1959. Cavaretta's donated the main ingredients to build the sandwich, with the proceeds from the sale of the sandwiches benefiting 12 local nonprofit organizations. This event is just one of many that are part of a year-long celebration of Canoga Park's 100 years as a community.
I'm very proud that it's been here for a long time.
It's
been great watching families come in, and eventually as I got into the business and dealing with the public, I started seeing those families grow and the generations come in to play, and it's been really an honor.
A special point of pride for Councilman Zine is Canoga Parks' designation as an all-American city.
It's interesting that of all the communities of Los Angeles, there's only one community that has the designation All-American City, and that's where we are now, Canoga Park, part of the great Canoga Park West Hills Chamber of Commerce.
Aside from the main event of sandwich building and eating, other activities included face painting and coloring for kids, as well as a raffle and several fun contests with prizes.
And every organization that's here, it's representing good for this community.
A community united by 100 years of history and by a common commitment to making Canoga Park an even better place to live the next 100 years. And that's it for this edition. We'll see you back here next week for more of LA This Week.
Faculty, mom, dad. Today's lesson, how to exercise with your kids and save the planet. First, you must believe. B, that your children really are the future. Second, you must do. Instead of jumping in the car, let's go for a walk, or a run, or even a bike ride. No pollution, no oil, no gas. And as long as we obey all traffic safety rules, we're cool. Lastly, you have to live. Live into our big, beautiful, healthy future. Be, do, live. Watch the road.
When I first came to the U.S.,
I brought my hopes and dreams for a better life.
Since becoming a U.S. citizen,
I'm running for public office.
I've traveled with the freedom and security of a U.S. passport.
And I voted for President of the United States.
U.S. citizenship means a better life.
I chose opportunity.
I chose freedom.
I chose responsibility.
I chose to become
a U.S. citizen.
I'm a proud American.
Hi, I'm Vosh in Eagle Rock, and when I'm not writing children's stories, I'm watching LA City View Channel 35. It's our city, it's our channel.
Good morning. Good morning. Today is Tuesday, March 6th. This is a meeting of the Los Angeles City Council. The City Council meets every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday at 10 a.m. All of our council meetings and committee meetings are open to the public, so you are invited. My name is Herb Wesson. I'm the president of the council. Madam Clerk, I believe we have a quorum. If you could call the roll.
Alarcon, Buscaino, Cardenas, Englander, Garcetti, Weezer, Carrasco, Corcoran, Labange, Parks, Perry, Reyes, Rosendale, Zine, Wesson, 11 members present and a quorum, Mr. President.
Thank you. First order of business.
Approval of the minutes.
Mr. Labange moves. Mr. Zine seconds. Next.
Commendatory resolutions for approval.
Mr. Englander moves. Mr. Buscaino seconds.
Mr. President, today is Tuesday. Now would be the time for the flag salute.
Okay, if we would, I want to ask everyone to rise and let us be led in our flag salute by Mr. Rosendahl.
Put your right hand over your heart and say after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We want to thank you for that, Mr. Rosendahl. At this time, I think it would be appropriate, members, to direct your attention to our agenda, and let's go through our agenda at this point in time. Madam Clerk, let's get it going.
Mr. President, there is a request to continue item 2 to March 13th, to continue item 9 to March 27th, and to continue item 34 to tomorrow, March 7th.
Without objection.
Items 1 through 12 are items noticed for public hearing. The Department of Building and Safety reports that item 7 may be received and filed inasmuch as the lien has been paid.
Okay, without objection on that item. Are there any cards on these items?
There are cards on items 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 8.
Member specials. Then let's begin our voting process. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
That brings us where, Madam Clerk?
Items 13 through 20 are items for which public hearings have been held.
Okay, member specials. Mr. Zine? Mr. Zine, I didn't hear you.
14 and 15 continue to tomorrow, please.
Okay, Mr. Zine requests that items 14 and 15 be continued till tomorrow. So without objection, that'll be the order on those items. Any other specials? Let us open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
That brings us where?
Mr. President, for item 13, which is an ordinance, that ordinance will be held over for 1 week unless it's reconsidered later in the meeting.
Okay, we'll reconsider it when we get to 12. So again, now where are we?
Items 21 through 34 are items for which public hearings have not been held. 10 votes required for consideration.
Okay, without objection, those items are now before us. Any cards on these items?
Cards on items 21 and 29.
Specials members. Mr. Zine.
22 special and 28 special.
Mr. Zine calls 22, and the other one was 28, Mr.
Yes, sir.
Zine?
Yes, sir.
Members, any other specials? Okay, then let us open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Okay, before we move forward on item 35, why don't we, was it item 13 that we needed 12 votes?
Yes.
Okay, so why don't we On that item, let's open the roll on reconsideration. So let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
12 eyes.
Okay, now let's actually vote on that item. Let us open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
12 eyes.
Okay, Madam Clerk, I think that brings us to item 35.
Yes.
And with that, I want to defer to Mr. Krikorian on item 35. How do you wish to move forward with this item?
Thank you, Mr. President. This is approval of a settlement. We considered the matter in Budget and Finance Committee. We can hear the matter in open session unless members have any questions that they'd like to ask of the City Attorney's Office, but we can proceed in open session to approve the settlement.
And your recommendation is to approve?
My recommendation is to approve.
Okay. Madam Clerk, if you could read the item.
But Mr.
Yes,
President, I'd rather not proceed with it now because I want to give members an opportunity to weigh in case they have questions before.
So why don't we hold it at
in the ordinary agenda order?
We'll hold it at the desk.
Thank you.
Okay, where are we now, Madam Clerk?
Mr. President, there's a request for item 13 and 27 to go forthwith.
Without objection.
Item on the supplemental agenda, item 36 is an item for which public hearing has been held.
Any member want to discuss that item? Are there any cards on 36?
No cards. Public hearing has been held.
All right, then let's vote on this. Let us open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
12 eyes.
All right, next.
Items 37 through 40 are items for which public hearings have not been held. 10 votes required for consideration.
Okay, without objection, those items are now before us. Do we have any cards on these items?
No cards.
Members, specials, anybody want to call 37 through 40 special? Seeing and hearing none, let's prepare to vote. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
12 eyes.
That brings us to what?
To general public comment or items called special.
All right, it's my understanding that we do have a special presentation today. If I could ask Joe Buscaino and his guests to come forward.
Thank you, Mr. President, colleagues. If I can note that this is my first resolution that I'm presenting as a newly elected council member, and how fitting it is that we honor George Angelos, who is retiring after 30 years of loyal service to the Los Angeles Police Department. We call him Rick. The Los Angeles LAPD knows him very well as Lieutenant Rick Angelos. Come on back. And he joined the LAPD in March 1982. Upon graduation from the LA Police Academy, Rick served his probationary time at Hollywood area and was then wheeled out to Southeast area where he spent the next 8 years of his career. In May 1990, Rick was promoted to Sergeant at 77th Street area and later promoted to Sergeant 2 at Internal Affairs Division. During his time in internal surveillance, Rick led his team in several notable investigations, including the initial investigation which led to the conviction of the principal person associated in the Rampart incident. Since then, he was promoted several times, including working as a commanding officer and the officer in charge of South Bureau gangs and the federal LAPD Violent Crime Task Force, where he received the department's unit citation. He was born, raised, and still living in the great San Pedro. He's here today with his wife Dante, his daughter Shannon. Shannon's married to a dear friend of mine, someone I grew up with, Mario Fizlich, who is a fine Redondo Beach police officer, and he and Shannon own a business in Rancho Palos Verdes. So with that, colleagues, it's my great honor to present this resolution. On behalf of the City of Los Angeles, to you, Lieutenant Angelos, it's a pleasure to thank you for 30 years of service, of loyal professional service to residents of this great city of Los Angeles. I present to you this resolution signed by all of my colleagues in addition to the mayor of this great city of Los Angeles. Let's give him a round of applause. Thank you so much. Great. Get in here, guys. Get in here, guys. Come on, teacher. All right. Thank you, Mr. President and colleagues. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe, and congratulations on your first presentation. Okay, we'll now go to the general public comment portion. We will start off with Bill Huey, Sean Murphy, and Zuma Dog.
Good morning, Mr. President, honorable members of the LA City Council. My name is Bill Huey. I'm the president of Fair Housing Coalition, fairhousingcoalition.com. Mr. Donald Lee right here and his wife bought a two-story duplex in the Marina Peninsula in 1986. Their building is a block and a half from the beach, and it's two-bedroom apartments with off-street parking. One unit was vacant, so they moved in, and the other unit was renting for $13.50 a month. It was their understanding that this building was exempt from rent control because it was a luxury building. Now, this is typical of the LAHD, how they terrorized people. In 2005, 27 years after rent control was passed, and 19 years after they bought the building, he received a bill from the housing department demanding he register the units. He spoke to the housing department and explained that his building should be exempt. Therefore, he shouldn't have to register it. The department said that unless he could provide original leases and signed affidavits from the original tenants, he would have to register. They've been arguing ever since. This is typical of the LHD. You can present proof, you can do a best effort, and they still just trample all over property owners' rights. You know, what is their next agenda, to regulate private homes? He didn't own the building in 1978, and he had no control over the original paperwork. The fact that the housing department came forward so many years later has prejudiced his chances of finding these original tenants. I mean, how can he find tenants that were living there in 1978? So instead, he presented the housing department with proof of rents in the area in 1978 and his own building, which he owned. The housing department wouldn't accept that. They have set an impossible standard for anyone to meet. And even if he owned the building in 1978, chances are that having paperwork going back 27 years is unlikely. All that he wants is to be granted the luxury exclusion he's entitled to.
Thank you. Mr. Rosendahl.
Yes, my district, yes. Let's meet over here. I want to know more about it. Thank you for coming in public comment.
Thank you, Mr. Huey. Mr. Murphy, followed by Zuma Dog.
Yes, good morning, City Council. Congratulations on your first 40 days of running the City Council. You, Tom, and Ed. Congratulations. I'd like to talk about the financial budget. I hope we don't close any libraries and keep the city running. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Murphy. Mr. Zuma Dog.
Yes, thank you, Zuma Dog. 2013 candidate for mayor. Yes, I'm certified with the Ethics Commission, and I plan on being on the ballot. Notice to the city, Zuma Dog for mayor, 2013. More information at zumadog.com. And let's talk about the city. It's never been more corrupt under the city attorney, Carmen Tutanich. City Council, can you please get a hold of Carmen Tutanich? You know what? The FBI, I want everybody that's listening right now to know that the FBI is investigating this city hall up, down, inside out, far, wide, and deep. Things like building and safety, things like housing, things like the Housing Authority and the department. Who knows about planning? Who knows about transportation? But the thing is, if I could have some quiet, because for a city hall, hey, and you know what? Michael Bai is the one talking. Let's talk of Michael Bai, of all people, talking when Zuma Dog political kingpin is talking. Let's talk about Michael Bai. Michael Bai is Herb Wesson's deputy. And if you read the LA Times, and if you read Zoomadog.com, and if you read Mayor Sam, well, you know that Michael Bai has been accused of shaking down Koreatown. You will know at the redistricting meeting, the Koreatown community came out and said Michael Bai is a thug who comes up, and if you do not give him bribe money, well, then you don't get your permits, you don't get your not-profit money. And I'm here to say that it ties to Sam N. Herb Wesson's pal, Sam N., who has already been interviewed by the FBI, who had to step down and now works for Jose Huizar. So you got, yeah, it's hilarious. You had to dump the guy from the FBI on Huizar. So I'd like to say, if anybody gets shaken down by Michael Bai, please call Zuma Dog immediately and tell him to go straight to hell because the FBI is looking into him.
Mr. Matt Dowd, Aroneck, Nigerian, Narragainian. And after that, it'll be Dr. Tom Williams. Mr. Matt Dowd.
All right. Thank you, Channel 35, City of LA, 2012. What a cracker. I got the Bernie Parks look. He's copying from me. I got the good Bernie Parks look. We're on the same boat. We're going with Jan Perry for mayor because everybody's seen what Eric Garcetti got up to. But look, here's the latest thing, Bill Rosendahl. You know, I want you to look at this one. Okay, Matt Dowd gets a ticket from LAPD, and it says, G. It doesn't say G. Violator had umbrella not in full upright position, leaning in diagonal position. You know, and this is a performer at the beach. When it gets windy, the umbrella can fall over and hurt someone. So you lay it down, it protects you from the wind. All your information doesn't go flying off the table. You know, and this is the kind of thing they're coming after people with. But what it really is a more sinister thing because they don't have a permit and lottery system anymore. It's a way to have a probable cause to investigate people. Gee, you know, let's go to the beach. You know, and this is serious. You know, you're at the beach and you laid your umbrella down and you're just there enjoying yourself, and the police come up and go, "Gee, that's a crime. Show me your ID. Who are you? What are you doing?" You know, it's like, for an umbrella, and this is what we came to you. These are the little things. See, they got rid of all the people you wanted to get rid of, Bill. These are the things I came to tweak in that ordinance. These little dumb things. Now I'm going to have to come with another thing, and you'll lose the whole thing because this is an unreasonable. This is clearly unreasonable. So Herb, I came to you, and I said, now Sony International are offering me sessions, so I got a reason to stay now. And see it through, and I'll just knock it all out with declaratory judgments.
Thanks, man. Good morning.
Good morning, sir. Respectable city council members, dear fellow Angelinos, my name is Armenak Nujayan. I am a liberal Democrat and a human rights advocate. I run for the seat of California State Assembly from South Central Los Angeles. My electoral campaign is built on the principles of racial integration, social justice, technological revolution, environmental protection. Actually, I propose to raise taxes 50% against wealthy individuals and rich oil producing and gasoline selling corporations in order to increase social spending in Sacramento, in order to keep our social programs live and running. So it made American businesses so lucrative. Well, actually, I also want to establish policy of social justice by expediting issuance of Section 8 housing vouchers to working poor Californians within 1 year instead of 3 years, as it is now. So we could buy we could rent more property, you know, in California, including in Los Angeles area, where it's, rental housing is quite unaffordable without Section 8. Actually, I also demand closing down so-called medical marijuana dispensaries that rip off Californians big time, as Proposition 19 been rejected by 56% of California, according to MSNBC report, and also proposed to increase spending on Proposition 36, Substance Abuse Treatment Act, that had been adopted by 60% of California in July 2001. Well, actually, I believe that fight against wasteful spending is an integral part of my campaign. I oppose very much the egregious wages the council members make at the expense of the amount of $178,000, demand cutting those wages in half and giving money to city workers in order to have the principle of social justice and delivering prosperity to those city workers. And I also fight with corruption in the city council.
Thank you. Dr. Tom Williams.
Dr. Tom Williams, LA 32 Neighborhood Council, El Sereno. We're having a problem in the city. It's called transportation. Well, transportation is now mobility. The new city plan will have a mobility element. However, the last 4 meetings of the combined LA DOT and LA City Planning seem to be still immersed in streets. Streets this, streetscape, street plans. So I would highly recommend that LA DOT and City Planning and the Department of Public Works, who actually initiate most of the environmental requirements for LA DOT, get their heads together and have one mobility element. In El Sereno, we have a problem in that we have tried repeatedly through the Bureau of Engineering and LA DOT and even City Planning to figure out what they're doing in Northeast LA, because we have projects on Monterey Road, we have projects at Soto and Mission, on Soto Widening, on Soto and Valley. We have the SR 710 still trudging through our area. All of these things need to be coordinated, but we can't find anyone who knows what's going on. Bureau of Engineering say, no, it's not us. Department of Transportation says, no, it's not us. And MTA says, we know everything, so don't worry about it. So we're trying to put together a package for Northeast LA for transportation, planning, and construction. And maybe large parts of it can be funded even by the 710. They have a lot of money in that kitty for Northeast LA. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Williams. I'd like to bring forth Dow House Dude.
Yeah. I love them.
I have a little bit musical effect here. Oh, is this working? Oh no, broke down. Sorry. Well, this is a circus, so I thought I'd wear the appropriate headgear. You know what? I need advice from you clowns. How can we create a system where nobody has to go through all this BS of repossession and prepossession and permits? And can we do it? Are we smart enough? Yes, we are. We may have to bypass you, by the way. The people may have to get together and, you know, occupy. But that's illegal. So we have to occupy legally. How do we do that? We line up each other. We finance each other without the help of any banks or anybody. We do a gigantic pyramid where everybody winds up with a home and no landlord, where everybody winds up with the right to have a place but no right to sell it. So we change the real estate laws. I would like this city council to be liberal enough to back me up on an initiative where the people will finance each other out of this bullshit.
Oh, wait a minute.
Oh, no, sorry. That
Okay,
word is-
thank you. Your time on this general public comment is over. Come on. I'm not throwing you out. I'm just asking you to sit down. Now in the Valley, Now in the Valley, I have Donna Pearman, Richard Nightingale.
Okay, yeah, hello, this is Donna Perriman. Though my heart is breaking because I miss seeing Eric Garcetti as President of City Council, and I like everyone to vote for Eric Garcetti for mayor. Anyway, what I do want to stop seeing is I want to stop seeing the City Council misspending all their money. And you know that the mayor has a yacht that he brings over people to impress people how wonderful Los Angeles is doing. Certainly, we shouldn't see the whole city go downhill and things not being done. And because the mayor wants to show off with his yacht. And last Friday, I see there were CRA projects that I unfortunately didn't come over here to talk about. Apparently, I don't believe the CRA is gone because I believe it's going to take another decade to finish all the projects that this CRA didn't finish, and so it's not new CRA projects. But believe me, those old CRA projects will go for a long period of time. And we need to be able to take away all the little freebies that the city council gets. We need to see some more sacrifices from the city council because they always go to the city employees to ask for sacrifices. And they only gave up a little for themselves. And I believe the mayor needs to give them a lot more. And I'm hoping that I believe the city will go along fine if we vote for Eric Garcetti for mayor. Anyway, let's see what else I want to talk about. Oh, yeah, I want to talk about the buses. The buses are running very sporadically, and they're all having lots of problems, especially over there still. We're having trouble over there in West Los Angeles with the buses going down to Santa Monica. We need to have every bus to go down Wilshire Boulevard to go all the way down to Santa Monica. I do not believe that there's more people going down toward Los Angeles downtown than it is Santa Monica.
Thank you. Okay, now do we have... I know we have Rick Nightingale there. Is there another individual just named Richard? Please go. Richard, okay.
Good morning. This morning I received a communication from a department in the city of Los Angeles, and I'm going to quote what they wrote me, which I found outrageous. It says, quote, "In response to your Public Records Act request dated February 7, 2012, we are unable to provide a response or responsive documents to staff reduction." When I looked up the government code 6250, I couldn't find an exemption for staff reduction for not responding to a Public Records Act request. Do I have to get out $395 to compel the response and the responsive documents? There is nobody that would like to do outreach to resolve this issue. So the city's new excuse on not responding to Public Records Act requests is we have staff reduction. We can't do it. We have to do something else. You're not important. I would like to know who I need to talk to get outreach and resolve this issue. It appears the city attorney's office, since I am not their client, have no obligation to talk to me, and which is appropriate. Who in what department could assist me to respond to a Public Records Act request? It appears the custodian of records doesn't have to do it. Your risk management doesn't have to do it. Who has to do it? Do I have to put as defendants all the council members regarding failure to respond to a Public Records Act request, and also under Civil Code 52.1 regarding civil rights violation? Because the Public Records Act is a matter of right. It's a civil right. It says in the California Constitution. Are you going to follow through, or are you going to just play ignorant and say, we never heard you? I want a response. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Nightingale.
Yeah, excuse me. Good morning. I'll tell you, I couldn't believe in the paper the other day that we're still on this towing deal. That now we have all our big honchos in it. Our mayor's not for it. Our city attorney is ignoring it. Baca is ignoring it. And Beck isn't doing it. I thought this place was run by laws. It just appears that nobody wants to do by the law. You know, people like me wouldn't be so upset regarding the illegals and so forth if they would make an effort to learn English and to blend in to what the United States is all about. But they're not. This is like North Baja. I even had a gentleman over our apartment building tell me, hey, gringo, go home. And you wonder why we get so pissed off that this keeps going on and on. It's just unbelievable. And then they wonder why you turn around and all of our leaders turn around and when you say something about it with the Hispanic group, you're a bigot or you're prejudiced. This is their magic word, like Garcetti called me. They hold it over everybody if you go against them. It's like the carrot. And you wonder, like I said, you wonder why we all get pissed off at what's going on. I just don't understand it when you're going to straighten your act up. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Nightingale. Okay, Madam Clerk, that brings us where?
Items called special. If you want to begin with item number 1, it's called special for cards.
Okay, let's call up Mr. Sean Murphy on item 1.
Yes, item 1. I am for it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Murphy, for that. Let us open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
All right. That brings us to item 2.
Item 3, call special for cards.
Oh, item 3. Yeah. Oh, Madam Clerk, I've been informed that there were 2 cards on item 1, not just one. So can we open the roll on reconsideration where it relates to item 1? Close the roll, tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Okay, so if I could ask for, I believe it's David Daniel. David Daniel. This is on item 1, sir. And I'm sorry I did not see your name the first time. Go right ahead.
That's all right, sir. I am Pradeep Verma, speaking on behalf of David Daniel, who is right here. I am against this proposal.
Is that it? Or continue?
No, that is it, sir. Thank you very much.
Okay. All right, on this item, we will again begin the voting process. Let us open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
You said the next item was item 3?
Yes, item 2 has been continued.
Okay, so item 3, I have a card from Matt Dowd and Mr. Zuma Dog. Matthew?
I'll tell you why. Oh, should I go first?
Well, however you guys want to do. Okay, Mr. Dog.
As long as I'm here. Zuma Dog from my new organization, Fundamental Understanding of Constitutional Knowledge. And I'm here today to ask you to please release this lien from the agenda because it's from Building and Safety and it's been brought to my attention in LA Times and in discussions I've had with members of the community who have been interviewed and provided testimony to the FBI that there is an FBI investigation into the systematic code enforcement the code enforcement that is used to place these properties with these liens. So given the fact there's been a huge article at LA Times about this guy Sam Inn from the Building and Safety Department and how people like Michael Bai and other people might be running around the city collecting bribes from Sam Inn and the Building and Safety Department. So I'm here to say, due to the improprieties of the process of which these liens are placed, due to the FBI investigation that includes bribes and that includes the fact that the LA Housing Department many times is the one citing this building and safety code, and due to the fact that the city of Los Angeles lost a ruling in Superior Court on October 2011 that said the city was illegally fining people, housing property owners, through building and safety code. And so it has all resulted in people getting illegal fines that get passed down the line with erroneous liens posted. Then you can't get it off the lien system because they send the notices out after they said they sent them. In other words, you'll have a hearing, but you won't get the letter till after the hearing because it says it was sent on the 24th, but it's postmarked the 27th. So it's all a racket. The FBI is investigating. I'm looking for a no vote.
Thank you, Mr. Matt Dowd. Followed by Superman.
All right, yes, this is a protest against the lien, so I'm going to protest this one at $600. But see, we're drawing into question all of these liens now, because there's evidence out there that the code violations, they weren't issued correctly by the right department. They were issued by the department who didn't have the authority. So a lot of those citations and violations could be held illegal. And so you can probably reverse all of these in court. Now, I know Zumadog's posting it. If you go to ladailyblog.com and get in contact with him, if you got one of these liens and they're making you pay money out of building and safety. So let me look for a no vote on this one too. Let me get a no. Bill Rosendahl, I want to see a no vote just out of support for the public.
Spider-Man. Matthew? Is there another Spider-Man? All right. Then on this item, let us open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Next item.
Item 4, call special for cards.
Okay, on this item, we have again Sean Murphy, Zumadog, Superman.
I am against it. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Zumadog, before you start.
Don't call the superheroes, just call Matt.
Yeah, I was saying. So now, do you still want to speak on it? Because I have two cards for you.
Oh, yeah, there was a little confusion. Yeah, I do want to talk.
All right, go.
Thank you. And again, I'm going to speak on this because I believe after attending 6 years of city council meetings and being mentored and tutored and investigating the issues that affect the city the most, and after people that have been questioned by the FBI who has presented me with the information they presented to the FBI, and based on what I read in the LA Times about the FBI investigation into the Building and Safety Department, I'm here to say this item, number 4, is the most important item in the city because it is a lien against a property owner, and I'm asking for a no vote. Because first of all, I need to put my credential down that Zumadog, I'm running for mayor of Los Angeles in 2013. And so as the person most likely to inherit the city as chief officer, I do not want to inherit a wave of lawsuits because due to the fact that the city of Los Angeles in October 2011 lost a Superior Court ruling where it was found that the housing department was citing building and safety code. The housing department was citing building and safety code. That's kind of like Blockbuster giving you late fees for Netflix. So that was found to be illegal. Now, the problem that I want this released for is because once you get the fine that you find out the FBI is investigating because there's been a systematic code of bribe enforcement centered around Koreatown, Herb Wesson's district especially, shortest council presidency ever, that this should be released because, again, the city first will just walk up and say, hey, you got to fix this. And then even if you do fix it, well, now you got to fix that. And before you know it, you got Tony Soprano's crew showing up, doing everything they can till you lose your property, and the FBI says it's illegal. No vote.
Thank you. On this item, then, let us open the roll. Oh, Matt? No, come on, Matthew.
See, look how long we've been doing this. You know, we could run the meeting. We're training up Sean Murphy. Once we're gone, you're going to have him to deal with. So that's what you got to look forward to. That's all you got. Listen to what we talk about. You know, we're the First Amendment people. 6 years of digesting this and all the
Item
people...
4, Matthew.
Yes, this is exactly how it relates. All the people who contact us, insiders, who are against you, who work for you, all the people who get screwed over in these departments, and then all the people who get laid off because you mismanaged all the money. So they contact us and give us the inside scoops because we're the freedom fighters fighting for because we're getting harassed for the dumbest code violations. You know, and now we find out, see, after we come here from the beach for 6 years because you're writing illegal code violations that violate federal law, now we're finding out, gee, see, because that's what we are now. We're compliance inspectors in the city. That's what you turned us into. And here's more compliance things that you're hitting people with, and we're finding out that they're illegal. Or there's court rulings that say, gee, some of these things weren't written in a due process that they have to be. So vote Eric Garcetti if you want the corruption and the lies and the fluffy, the warm and fuzzy to continue while they're ripping out your pension money.
Item 4.
Or vote for Jan Perry and get Bernie Parks and Herb West.
Thank you. Thank you. On this item, let us open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the votes.
12 ayes.
Next.
Item 5 calls special for cards.
It's my understanding on this one, okay, we have Zuma Dog has 1 minute, and Matt Dowd after Zuma Dog. Go on, Mr. Dog.
Get ready for the most devastating minute in public comment history from the Kingpin, courtesy of Carmen Tutanich. And I'd like to say that the city has never been more corrupt under Carmen Tutanich, and that's why we have the FBI investigating this issue. The single biggest issue in the city of fraud, waste, abuse, and corruption. Hi, Jan. I love you, baby.
He still has not addressed item 5.
Wait a minute.
Get on item. Zuma
We're talking
Dog.
about a lien.
Connect to the lien. Just connect to the lien.
Building and safety report on lien. Building and safety investigated by FBI for the way they put lien. I'm here to say, vote no, because the FBI says that the building inspectors are taking bribes and it is resulting in people erroneously getting liens posted, then it's nearly impossible in this LA mafia-run racket to get your meat hooks off the property. My name's Zuma Dog from Fundamental Understanding of Constitutional Knowledge.
Thank you, Mr. Matt Dowd.
All right. Yes, code compliance And so obviously there's talk getting around about bribes. You can bribe people so that they don't cite you. And then if you especially contribute to their campaign fund, then they leave you alone. It's this classic shakedown, political shakedowns going on all over the city. That's what I hear. It's right here in public comment. So, let's talk about the city attorney, because obviously with these code violations, they're being prosecuted by the city attorney's department. And I remember Steven Seagal when Nooch got elected. It's all on YouTube. You can see it, Deep South 81. And they got Steven Seagal there because they got the cameras and they want the star. Because Nooch has got 0 star factor. I mean, if you put him up here on public comment, everybody would switch off.
Matthew, connect it.
So here's the problem with the city attorney, and he's getting you into trouble. And he's elected, so it's not your fault, but you can still tell him what to do. Because who's the boss? Who is the boss here? I don't know. But there he is with Steven Seagal saying they're going to bust the corruption, but then we hear on these building and safety things that it's corrupt. And shakedowns and all these things going on at the FBI. So if the FBI is investigating some of these things, you get everybody off of them. Just get everybody off. Get Steven Seagal down here straight away to public comment to tell us all again that he's going to fight corruption. Because we're the only ones doing it. I could say, a fat F as well, but I won't.
Thank you, Matthew. Okay, on this item, there are no more cards. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Okay, that brings us to, in fact, before we go there, Mr. Zine, are you ready yet? Or do you want
ready and always on time.
So why don't we take Mr. Zine's had a couple of items out of order. I believe 22 and 28. Mr. Zine, what would be your pleasure?
Well, let's do number 22 first.
Number 22?
And number 22, we got some... number 22. What happened to paperwork on 22?
Mr. Labange.
There's nothing here. Fine. All right, well, number 22 is the Municipal Facility Space Optimization Project, and anybody here for the department, come forward. We can explain it. It's going to save approximately $5.3 million. We came up with a plan to consolidate some of our facilities, and we've got representatives from General Services that are going to speak about this, and briefly, so you can explain to Council how this will work and how we're going to save this money from the budget through the creative placement of the facilities. Take it away. Who you are and what you're going to do.
Chuck Rubin, Department of Building and Safety.
No, Chuck Rubin.
Building and Safety. General Services. Been a long time, Building and Safety.
Reginald Jones Sawyer, Department of General Services.
Are you sure you're with General Services this week?
Yeah,
yes, we are.
so.
All right, go ahead. Take it away.
We have a plan in place reviewing all of the leases that we have, their expirations and available space in city-owned properties. And based on that, we've developed a plan to bring those leased spaces back into city-owned space and therefore reduce lease costs.
And this will save us how much money?
About $5 million over the next 5 fiscal years. It takes us through 2016, 2017.
So currently we have a lot of spaces that we're leasing throughout the city.
Correct.
And people who own those properties are collecting that rent.
That's correct.
We're going to bring those city employees back to city facilities.
Yes.
Which we already have, which are already operating, which are already paid for, and save the $5.3 million.
Correct. And it's based on how availability is opened up to allow them to come back.
And I know that we've purchased, like Public Works, we purchased that building.
Correct.
Because we had a lot of folks that were out, and the people who were making money were the owners of the properties in this area. but the bottom line is the taxpayers are paying for that.
Yes.
So this operation brings folks back into municipal facilities, saves money, and we still get the job done for the people.
Absolutely.
Reggie, anything from you before we take a nice vote to say yes on this one, to save money and get things done?
Oh, yes, definitely. We've done, and staff has done an excellent job of shaving the lease account from well over $30 million down to about $14 million, just doing the process of putting people in city-owned space and using that general fund for other resources.
I think at one time it was $50 million a year, and it's been shaved down for the last few years. So now we're down to 14, so we'll keep working at it, but this is a major improvement.
And this plan will take us to under 10.
Great. Okay, thank you. Mr.
Thank you for Mr. Rosendahl is next.
Yes, obviously it's a no-brainer, but the big question is how are we able to renegotiate it and get that kind of funding from the people that have partnered with us? How are you doing that when you do the leases so that we can get that? I'd like to understand the dynamic you use to be able to save us what I see as $4.9 million projected through 16-17 for a total of 5.3.
As these leases expire, we bring our city employees back into city-owned buildings, and so we'll end that lease and retire that expense in general fund. And it's over those period of years. And we don't have to renegotiate. It's at the end of the term of those leases.
Very good. That's great. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Zine again.
Maybe we were unclear. Currently, we have private buildings that we're leasing with city employees doing work for the people. As those leases expire, we're going to bring those city forces back in the municipal buildings that we own, and we'll save that lease. We won't have to terminate a lease, but it'll expire. Those folks then come back to the city buildings and save money.
Correct.
Okay. I think there may have been some confusion. All right. So, Mr. Chair.
Very good, Mr. Zine. And just for the benefit of all council, approximately how many people work at City Hall East, City Hall South? Guesstimate is good.
Well, when we reoccupied City Hall, there were about 2,500.
In this building?
In this building. There were about 1,500 in City Hall East. And
much less than that. That's a good idea. Give us a little.
Maybe a couple hundred.
You think in the next month, for the benefit of the council, give us an idea how many people work at each other areas. That'd be good to know.
How many people what?
Work in these buildings, in the occupancy, the tenants. So, at your convenience. Thank you so much. No other speakers on the queue. That's Madam Clerk. We open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Thank you. Good job, gentlemen. Next item, please. 28, please. 28.
And Mr. President, for item 28, a revised resolution, item 28A, has been circulated.
To number 28. So what number 28 does is provide for our public safety personnel some protection. It was reported that the Los Angeles Police Department command staff and others were impacted when their personal information was posted on the internet. The Department of Motor Vehicles currently provides confidentiality for public safety personnel, and what this will do, and we want to thank Assemblymember Mike Fuhr for introducing this Assembly Bill 2299. What this legislation will do is empower our county assessors to provide that same type of protection to our public safety personnel, so someone cannot then go to property records and find out information on our public safety personnel and then publish it. In the particular case, the LAPD, they publish the officers, supervisors, their families, address, etc., which is a concern for the safety of the personnel for LAPD as well as their families. So what this will do, and again, thanking Assemblymember Mike Fuhr for introducing this, hopefully the state legislature and the Senate and the governor will sign it. It'll then permit our county assessors, we've already met with our county assessor, John Nogus, who strongly supports this, to give them the opportunity to remove your public information on your property records from the public. And you'd fill out a form, as you do with Department of Motor Vehicles, to have that information restricted from the public. So we would request that 28 be approved for the protection of our public safety personnel. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Zine. Joseph Buscaino.
Thank you, Mr. President. I stand too with Councilmember Zine and thank him for putting this motion before us, and also like to thank Assemblymember Fuhr as well to raise this critical issue at the state of California as well, at the Capitol. As a police officer, members, I can truly say that there oftentimes are the knuckleheads that want to get to the personal information of the police officers from the top down. So this item, and we ought to stand and support just to ensure that the men and women of law enforcement, of public safety, are also protected. They put their lives on the line for us, and the last thing we want to do is have these knuckleheads get into the personal information and make life even more difficult for our public safety personnel. So thank you, Mr. Zine, for raising this issue, for bringing this agenda item to Council, and also thank Assemblymember Feuer for his support in this at the State Capitol.
Thank you. We thank that former Councilman Feuer, now Assemblyman Feuer. Let's know the speakers on the queue. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
12 ayes. All right.
And that
Forthwith
item
on
was-
that matter. Forthwith on that matter.
And that item was approved as amended, Mr. President.
Yes, thank you so much. Let's return back. Item number 6. We have one card on item number 6. Mr. Dog. Mr. Dog is not here. No speaker cards. Item number 6. No speakers on the queue. Let's open the roll on item number 6. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
12 ayes. Next item, please.
Item number 8, call special for cards.
Item number 8, special by cards. Mr. Dog. Not here, Mr. Dog. So no speaker cards on item number 8 now. No one on the queue. Let's open the roll. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
12 ayes. Next item, please.
Item 21, call special for cards.
All right, I'm checking the card holder right now. We again, Mr. Dog. Mr. Dog is not present. Let's no speakers on the queue. Let's open the roll. Excuse me for a second. Mr. Dowd, he had a card as well. No, Mr. Dow, they're timed out. Open the roll. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Thank you so much.
Item 29, call special for cards.
29. And I'm looking right now on 29. Dr. Williams. Dr. Tom Williams. No Dr. Williams. And Mr. Lennox, would you please go to the gate and give that to the sergeant? Excuse me, Arnold Sachs. I called you by your city's name. Okay.
I'm sorry I didn't get a card. I just couldn't.
I got it right now. The bus was late. I understand.
Thank you very much. Item 28 refers to the LA DOT. And
hold on, sir. We're going to get this here. I want you to be prepared when you come up to speak. The item is before us, Madam Clerk.
29.
29.
Excuse me. You're right. And you're absolutely right. I should be prepared. This refers to the LA DOT for a bus program in District 8, $5,000. $5,000 for a bus program. Well, let's see. 52 weeks in a year times 100 is $5,200 a year. So you're going to spend $100 a week for this bus program, but let's say 5 days. So that comes to $20 a day in funding for this bus program. I don't know if that's over the top or under the bottom. $20 a day, not even, because 52 times 100 is $5,200, and you're only allocating $5,000. So where do you go for $20 a day for this bus program? How successful can it be? Especially considering the cost for LA DOT to operate a bus. How much does that $20 in safety buy you? Just the math just doesn't make sense. These nickel and dime programs that you come up with, when you take hundreds of dollars from the public, you should be ashamed of yourselves. $20 a day. Woo.
Mr. Parks.
Thank you very much. I try not to respond when people come up and make silly remarks. First of all, this money is for our bus program. It ran out of money for our youth and our seniors, in which they get an allocation of $40,000 a year. And because we have expended more than we added money to it. So it has nothing to do with RTD, has nothing to do with $20 a day. It has to do with getting our youth and our seniors to their programs between now and July 1st. So other than knowing the word bus, I don't think you got much else correct.
Go on, Mr. Lavange.
Just to add it too, Arnold, there's no money in there for Lennox.
Okay, so on this item, let us open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
That brings us to what?
Item 35, the closed session item. I believe a speaker card has been submitted, Mr. President.
On item 35?
Yes.
Mr. Sachs.
Yes, thank you again, Arnold Sachs. Item 35 refers to county council giving some advice on this item. I'm imagining, maybe I'm not imagining, but I'm concerned again about not county council, the city attorney. The difference, the city attorney giving advice, because as we heard in council chambers, Councilman Reyes mentioned that he got city attorney advice regarding his standing on the construction authority, that he's now legally appointed to this construction authority, that he had to resign from because of why. And the city attorney never gave his opinion on that. Well, he had to resign from it because it didn't exist.
Mr. Krikorian?
No.
Mr. Sachs, stay on the topic.
I am on the topic of getting advice from the city attorney. The city attorney is willing to give such stupid advice. Mr. Krikorian should pay attention here.
Mr. Krikorian is paying attention, Arnold. Maybe you should pay attention.
I am paying attention.
Okay, stay on the topic.
The city attorney gave advice on one case that is so stupid, it doesn't even bear any kind of resemblance to the truth.
Can we ask this gentleman to even make any attempt to stay on topic? This is nowhere near the actual topic at hand.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Sachs. Your time is over. If we could shut his mic down. If we could shut his mic down. You're beginning to disrupt the council meeting, Mr. Sachs. Please return to your seat. Miss Perry?
Thank you, Mr. President. I'll wait until you're done with this item, and then I'd like to speak before we go into closed session.
Fine. I thought we were not going into closed session, Mr. Krikorian.
Unless any of my colleagues have questions for the city attorney, we're prepared to deal with this matter in open session and approve the recommended settlement.
Okay, I see no one on the queue. Did you still want to speak on this subject, Ms. Perry?
No, I was.
Okay, so on item 35, let's open the roll.
Excuse me, Mr. President. First, we read the recommendation.
Please go right ahead.
Which is to authorize the city attorney to expend $129,000 to effect settlement in the case entitled Rebecca Banks versus the City of Los Angeles.
Thank you. So on this item, let us open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
All right. It's my understanding that there's nothing else on the agenda, but Ms. Perry, you wanted to speak?
Yes, thank you very much. And I'm not sure procedurally how to do this, but I'm just going to put it out there and let's see what the city attorney, if he can give me some direction. Several weeks ago, I did introduce a motion to establish a framework for comprehensive and fair hearings in redistricting, and that motion was sent to committee, which essentially will render it irrelevant by the time rules and elections is done. I did another one today, which you have on your desks, and I wanted it to be heard today as we are on a very tight tight timeline for rules and elections and getting these maps to council by the 16th. And what specifically I had asked is that South Los Angeles, CDs 8 and 9, and Koreatown be given time to have additional hearings in their respective areas, since these are the maps that are at greatest risk and communities that are at greatest risk to be changed. And I wanted to hear this today, but it's been, I believe, sent to committee, which will also render this one irrelevant because it will not occur in time. So I wanted to ask the city attorney if there's any way to make findings on the motion that I have entered in today so that we could discuss this today, given the time frame that we're up against with rules and elections, and the fact that I am asking that South Los Angeles, which includes council districts 8 and 9, be given an additional hearing, and Koreatown be given a hearing.
Before me is a motion that originally was stamped as a special or Rule 23. The council president, using his discretion, turned it into a Rule 16 motion, which would mean that it would be placed on the next regular agenda of council, which would be March 16th. There's a mechanism in the council rules, Rule 15, for a decision of the chair. It shall prevail unless reversed by a vote of at least 8 votes on the question, shall the chair be overruled. If that decision is overruled, then the Rule 23 would be before council, and that would be a 10-vote item for the Rule 23, and then 10 votes for the Rule 54.
Okay. Given the severity of the situation, given the urgency of the situation, given the public turmoil over our situations in Council District 8 and 9 and with Koreatown, I would respectfully, and no disrespect directed at the President of the City Council, but I would like to make a motion to overrule the chair on this to see if we can get this matter heard today. Do I have a second? Second. I have a second by Mr. Parks.
Okay, so it's been seconded by Mr. Parks. Ms. Perry is recommending an aye vote on this item. I am recommending a no vote on this item. So, Mr. City Attorney, do we just proceed with the vote at this juncture?
Yes, the appeal shall be decided without debate.
Okay, so again, Ms. Perry is requesting an aye vote. I am requesting a no vote. With that said, let us open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the votes.
3 ayes, 9 noes.
Motion fails, Mr. President.
I wasn't requesting. Let's, Mr. City Attorney, how do we fix this?
It doesn't change the outcome of the vote, so you could change your vote.
Well, definitely Wesson is with the prevailing side.
For the record, the vote, it's 2 yeses, 10 noes. The motion fails.
All right. Where are we now, Madam Clerk?
Council has motions for opposing and referral.
Okay, then let's consider those items posted and referred. Next.
That clears the desk.
Announcements, members. Mr. Labange? Mr. Zine?
Nothing.
Okay, if I could ask everyone in council to rise for adjourning motions. Mr. Labange.
As we all rise on this day, we should all remember a great educator, a great scholar, James Q. Wilson. James Q. Wilson wrote an essay in Atlantic Monthly Magazine in 1982-1983 about the broken windows concept. That broken windows concept has been integrated into the bloodstream of communities throughout the United States and the world. He was here recently in City Council, in the City Hall some recent months ago. He was a pioneer, and I think we should stand in reverence to the work that he did. I remember at that time I was a deputy to John Ferraro, and then captain at Wilshire, Joe DeLatorante, handed me that magazine and said, read it. And he was a great believer in that. Prior to that concept, it wasn't in the bloodstream of law enforcement agencies. And proof today, as we see the great councilman of the 15th and others who work closely with law enforcement, the councilman of the 8th and his experience, the broken windows concept, it was absolutely a blessing as we look at it. So we ask, he's 80 years old. He was the father of community policing. He taught for many years at UCLA and Pepperdine. He was awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom in 2003, and he changed the face of American policing. He also was a very good man. So I ask we adjourn in his memory. He's survived by his wife of 59 years, Roberta, a daughter, Annie Gilbert, and 5 grandchildren, James Q. Wilson. And all members, I would hope.
All members.
Yeah.
Okay, other adjournings, Mr. Weezar.
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask that we adjourn today in honor of Raul Solis, the beloved father of United States Secretary of Labor Hilda Solis. The obituary was shared at the funeral this past weekend. It's read, Raul Solis was baptized, given his first Holy Communion, and confirmed by St. Guisard Valencia. St. Guisard Valencia sponsored Raul to attend seminary school in Mexico City. Like his teacher, Raul fought the good fight and stood up for his family, his neighbors, his fellow workers, and his community. A patriarch, a provider, and a leader of men, Raul inspired all who knew him to strive to be their best, even during the most adverse challenges. Raul was born February 27, 1924, and left this earth on February 29, 2012, at age 88. He left behind his loving wife of 58 years, Juana Solis, 7 children, 10 grandchildren, and 15 great-grandchildren. May he rest in peace.
Mr. Garcetti.
Just on that, thank you. I had not heard that news, and thank you very much, Mr. Weezar, for doing that. I know that the Secretary's father was from Chihuahua, from a town where my own family is from as well, and she spoke so proudly of him so often, and fueling what she has done, and certainly to become the Secretary of Labor and working on behalf of working men and women throughout this country, having such an amazing working class hero as a father. I know all of our thoughts are with her today. Thank you.
All members. Mr. Zine.
Mr. President, Carol Catherine Pova passed away February 24th at West Hills home, peacefully with her family and caregiver at her side. Born March 29, 1934, in Chicago, where she was raised. Moved to Burbank along with her firstborn, Rick, and her parents, where she worked for Competition Motors, providing administrative support to the overseas sales department. Had a daughter in 1962, when she moved to Reseda. In 1964, gave birth to her 3rd child, Derek. When the children were in school full-time, she returned to the workplace, worked for the Missile Systems Group of Hughes Aircraft Company. Most of her 25-year career there as head of systems and procedures, retired as manager of administration. Active in her community, dedicated to the YMCA, Canoga Park West Hills Chamber of Commerce, supported the Los Angeles Police Department with years with the PALS organization, instrumental in the conversion of Fire Station 72 on Owens Mouth into the Canoga Park Community Center. She was known for her kindness, compassion, wit, and charm, but also her resilience. Donations to Bless a Child Foundation are requested. She is survived by a son, Rick, daughter and son-in-law, Valerie and Mike, granddaughters, Candace, Melissa, a son, Derek, grandsons, Derek and Braden, stepdaughter Vicky, granddaughter Jessica, and many other extended family friends who loved her. May she rest in peace.
Members, any other adjourning motions? No other adjourning motions? Okay. Before I adjourn this council, members that do have recommendations where it relates to changes to redistricting, please get that data to the CLA's office. With that said, this council meeting is adjourned.